take a little trip 5 years into the future. You're faced with funeral expenses for your loved one. You've got paperwork and logistics and scheduling, a lot of hassle. But a little forward thinking now can save you a lot of heartache later. It's easier than you think. We're Brown Funeral Homes, family owned, in business for over 135 years. Think smart, think ahead. Brown Funeral Homes, Martinsburg, Inwood, and Charlestown, Ranson.
We have the tools, we have the talent. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the play-by-play voice of local sports, Matt Miller.
And a very pleasant good evening to all the listeners out there. As you can tell, I am not Matt Miller, but rather co-host Matt Crawford. Matt Miller is out on vacation this week, but the show must go on, so I'm going to take you from 5 to 6 every weeknight this week as we talk about local, regional, and some national sports. All right, we're going to start things off a little bit differently than we usually do. We like to go to the national scene before we start anything else, but tonight we have a special guest joining us on the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line to talk about the big move to the PSAC. We welcome in the Vice President of Athletics at Shepherd University, Chauncey Winbush. Chauncey, good evening.
How are you, Matt?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on.
Big couple of months, I should say. Now Matt and I had a chance to talk to you after the pro day back in March, back when this was first kind of breaking as a story. So just talk to us a little bit about the last couple months and the move up north.
Yeah, over the last couple of months, we've had an opportunity to really take a look at the opportunity with the PSAC. Crunched a bunch of numbers. My background is business, so we took a look at a lot of different facets of our department: recruiting, overall budget, travel, so forth and so on. And after communicating with my staff and university administration, and talking to donors and athletes and coaches, we just felt that this was the time for us to take that step to the PSAC.
Shepherd's been pretty successful across the board in the young tradition of the Mountain East. What made that move to the PSAC so appealing?
Yeah, we've had some success for many years, and certainly over the last 5 years within the Mountain East Conference. But we were kind of looking at, again, the biggest thing for us was kind of travel. The amount of time that our student athletes are on the road, traveling the state of West Virginia. If you compare, the amount of travel that we will have once we move to the PSAC, it really was a no-brainer. Our goal is to, give our student athletes the best experience that we can, not only athletically, but obviously academically. And when we took a look at it, the opportunity to get several hours, just many hours back, give it back to them so that they could focus on their studies, just made it that much easier to a decision.
You mentioned your background in business kind of playing a role in doing all the number crunching. I know you came from the Naval Academy where but part of your role was being in charge of the budget. How did that experience help you in this whole process?
Yeah, at the Naval Academy and prior to that, I spent a lot of time just looking at data and reviewing data and doing a lot of comparisons and things of that nature, whether internally or with external universities, so forth and so on. So the information that Commissioner Murray shared with me, the information that I was able to compile internally, it was just really easy to take a look at it and say, hey, I think this might be the right step for our institution.
What has the reaction been? You talked about involving people within the community and boosters and the school as a whole. What has the reaction been from the Shepherdstown community as a whole as to what I know around the station, we've called it the worst kept secret in the Panhandle over the last couple months?
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback, whether on social media or via emails or, just former teammates and friends, shooting texts. folks from the Naval Academy, other athletic directors around the country that I have relationships with reached out, and we really did not get any negative feedback, which was great. You certainly appreciate, the history that we have in the WIVIAC as well as the Mountain East Conference, and some rivalries that we've built, if you will. But I think everybody kind of saw the writing on the wall, and if you take a step back and you really look at where we are and hopefully where we're trying to go, again, people thought that this would be a good move for us.
It's to me, it's just a little weird that it's going to be the conference that you look at the rivalry of Shippensburg, but really the entire PSAC, and you look at especially football over the last couple of years, they've kind of been the conference to the north that Shepherd's rooted against because they were referred to as God's greatest gift to D2 football and stuff like that. Do you think there's going to be any sort of growing pains being a part of that as opposed to really the hatred for the PSAC?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the PSAC, they've done a great job for 50 plus years with their sports programs, and it goes without saying that there's some very, very good, not only football programs, but I mean, you name it across the board: baseball, softball, basketball. It's a really, really competitive league, and if we're just talking football, we certainly feel as though we will have the ability to compete right away. I certainly communicate to our fans and students and those that follow Shepherd football that, don't expect us to go into the PSAC and just go 10-0 every year. It's a really, really solid league, as I think everybody across the nation knows. And, we're excited about the challenge in general.
You talked about other sports other than football. Let's talk a little bit about the smaller sports. I know the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference has a few more sports than Shepherd does, and a lot of the Mountain East schools had. Is there any thoughts of maybe adding sports to Shepherd when you make that move?
Yeah, we would love to certainly add some sports. I think, we obviously need to make sure that we probably build a good foundation with regards to what we have currently. But, there's no reason why, over the next several years, we can't go from 12 to, 15, 16, 17 sports. That's certainly, the goal, but it's going to take time to initiate that.
You had talked to Matt and I at that pro day that I was talking about earlier, and you laid out kind of a timetable that with the financial aspect of leaving the Mountain East and the 1, 2, or 3 year timetable of leaving the conference. What helped you make that decision to give it just one more year in the Mountain East and then make that move?
Yeah, I mean, you really have to kind of take a look at the financial status in general. And in communicating with, I'll just say, the powers that be, the decision was made to go ahead and spend one more year in the Mountain East Conference and, try and, make that move a little bit quicker. Yes, it's going to cost us a little bit more money, but, we are just fortunate to have some really good supporters financially that, are stepping up to the plate to assist us with this transition.
I'm sure a lot of the travel budget also helps with that. You mentioned earlier that's one of the big decisions was because of how short the travel is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have an opportunity to save some funds, from a travel standpoint. But, at the same time, what I think everybody needs to realize, that amount of money that we're going to save is not even close to the amount of money that we're going to need to be successful in the new league, in the PSAC. So, the whatever that amount is not even close to, the several millions of dollars that we're going to need to ramp up our facilities and our scholarships and our budgets in order to, to be really successful in the PSAC.
What is one thing that sticks out in your mind when you mention those facilities that are going to need to be improved?
Yeah, right off the bat, field turf at Ram Stadium, that is what we're focused on right this second. That's something that we need to do in 2019. So that's a main focus. And then I think the next biggest facility upgrade is a weight room, student athlete performance center. And, we've been talking about it, trying to, communicate with potential donors, so forth and so on. And, we're excited about the potential to make that happen. Again, I don't know if that will happen prior to us moving into the PSAC, but certainly needs to happen pretty quickly if we want to be as successful as we think we can.
Sticking with finances for one more question. I know one of the big things that was kind of rumored over the last couple months after it came out that the PSAC was interested in Shepherd was Shepherd is really considered one of the schools that's not very well funded, especially by people in this area. Are you at all concerned, or has President Hendricks voiced any concern about Shepherd getting even less funding now that athletics and the school as a whole are moving to a conference that has Pennsylvania in the name?
I think I'd be lying if I said that, I wasn't a little concerned by that. But, again, we felt that though this was a great move for us, and, it gives us an opportunity to represent the entire state of West Virginia, in Pennsylvania, just like WVU, just like Marshall. They represent the entire state of West Virginia. We're excited about doing the same thing. So I'm hoping that the folks down in Charleston, really appreciate that. I hope people aren't looking at us like we're abandoning, the state of West Virginia, because that's not what we're doing. We're taking an opportunity to represent the state, as I just mentioned.
All right, we're talking with the Vice President of Athletics at Shepherd University, Chauncey Winbush. Chauncey, we have to get in our first break, but when we come back, we will talk about Mr. Winbush going into year 3 at Shepherd, as his 2-year anniversary in that role is coming up right in July. You're listening to Miller Time on Talk Radio WRNR. We'll be right back after this break.
Now's the time to talk with John's Pool Supplies about opening your pool. Or maybe it's time for a new above-ground or in-ground pool. John's Pool Supplies, 237 Eagle School Road, has over 30 years of experience and a large selection of products, services, and supplies for your pool or hot tub. From custom liner installation and pool inspection to free water testing, call John's Pool Supplies at 304-267-2000, johnspoolsupplies.com.
L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you are a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg.
I'm John Schriffen with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Earl Thomas has skipped all of the Seahawks' voluntary workouts this offseason. Now he'll miss the mandatory ones as well. The All-Pro safety released a statement Sunday saying he would not attend any team activities until he gets a new contract. Thomas adds that he still hopes and wants to finish his career as a Seahawk. Elsewhere, Alex Smith is already a fan of his new team. The Redskins quarterback says the team's recent OTAs were the most productive of his 14-year career. Expect Matt Ryan to move around a little more in 2018. Falcons offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian says they'll be adding some run-pass option plays to take advantage of Ryan's quick decision-making skills. And the Texans won't be putting any restrictions on Deshaun Watson's scrambling or running ability next season, even as he recovers from knee surgery. The team says they don't want to hold back Watson from extending plays with his legs, but they may also stress it's okay to go down every now and then. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you: printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458, 800-481-1458, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building is now open. This new 3-story, 40,000 square foot facility is conveniently located off Interstate 81, exit 20 at the intersection of US 11 and Campus Drive. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills medical office building features many different offices and services for area residents. It's now home to urgent care, women's imaging center, lab services, and primary care pediatrics. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building now open to serve you.
We welcome you back into Miller Time on this overcast Monday evening. Matt Crawford in studio with you. Matt Miller had the audacity to take a summer vacation. I know, absurd, right? But the show must go on. The ship must sail. So I'm going to take you through this week. We return to the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line. Before the break, we were talking to the Vice President of Athletics at Shepherd's University, Chauncey Winbush, about the move from the Mountain East to the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference coming in the 2019-2020 seasons. We're now going to bring him back to talk about his tenure at Shepherd so far. July of 2016, Chauncey, you were brought in to be the Vice President of Athletics, not necessarily the athletic director. For those who don't know, take us through what those differences might be.
You know, to be perfectly honest, there isn't much difference. It's just a title. So at the end of the day, you know, I am the Director of Athletics. I just have, you know, what might be a more interesting title, if you will. So, you know, as the Vice President for Athletics, I have direct oversight of the 12 varsity programs here at Shepherd University. And, you know, it's my responsibility to manage budgets, manage coaches, manage, you know, staffers, so forth and so on, and hopefully put the best product that I can out on the field, while also, you know, making sure that our students are taking advantage of the academic process as well.
Coming back to your alma mater, a football player, receiver back in the day under Monty Cater, I'm sure you had a lot of high hopes and dreams and a lot of short-term goals right off the bat. Talk about some of those short-term goals you had coming in 2 years ago and how many of them have either been accomplished or are very close to being accomplished now.
Yeah, I think just from a short-term standpoint, I just wanted to kind of change the mentality within our department, within our institution. You know, I certainly feel as though, you know, just because you're a D2 program or a smaller program doesn't mean that, you know, you have to act that way. Doesn't mean you have to carry yourself that way. So, you know, I wanted to kind of bring a D1 mentality, you know, to this institution. You know, let's not just do things just to do them, just to say that we got them done. Let's make sure that whatever we do, whatever funding that we're spending, whatever enhancements that we're planning to make, that we do it the right way. And I think we've started that. And I think people really appreciate, hey, let's not just throw something up there just to say that we did it. So that was kind of the main focus. And then obviously just to make sure that, our student athletes are doing whatever they can to be successful in the classroom. We've regularly carried over a 3.0 cumulative GPA for our student athletes, and it's getting better every year. I certainly want to continue to maintain and grow from that standpoint. And then from a financial standpoint, we certainly want to get better from a budget standpoint, scholarships. We want to, try and make sure that we're enhancing facilities and things of that nature. And that aspect is going a little bit slower than I would like, but, we're implementing a new club called the Shepherd University Athletic Club, and it's going to be the revenue generation, the fundraising arm of our athletic department. And we'll hopefully be rolling, that club out here within the next 3 months, hopefully prior to the fall semester. And I'm really excited about that. We got off to a pretty quick start with just a small fundraising campaign in the spring. And we're building a nice foundation where I think it's really going to benefit us as we go through this last year in the Mountain East Conference, and then obviously the future in the PSAC.
You mentioned the fall semester coming up. For the first time since you've been a player and now you're in the role you are now, Monty Cater will not be the head coach of the football team, a longtime face of the football team, Ernie McCook taking over. What do you see coming up this fall that may be a little bit different in regards to football?
Yeah, there is no replacing, a living legend like Monty Cater. He did so many things, not only for our institution, our football program, but for the Eastern Panhandle. So, certainly incredibly grateful to have had the opportunity to play for, coach with, and work with Coach Cater over the last couple of years. From an energy standpoint, I believe Coach McCook is going to hit the ground running. He's obviously been here at Shepherd for 19, almost 20 years, and he knows what it is to be a Ram. And I had no qualms at all about turning the program over to him. Ironically, Ernie and I worked together back in 1999 when I was a student assistant, and he was just a first-year O-line coach. So it's really ironic that we're back now as the vice president for athletics and the head football coach. But I think Ernie already built a really great offensive juggernaut, and we certainly hope to continue to put a bunch of points on the board. We're certainly going to be young in some key areas, but that's not going to be an excuse. Expectations are obviously extremely high when it comes to Shepherd football, and those expectations have not changed since Coach Cater decided to retire. So I think you're still going to see a really good football program. I certainly hope that we get a little bit better from a penalty standpoint, but overall, you're going to see Shepherd football every Saturday.
Looking at all sports that are coming up in the 2018-19 seasons, is there anything fans should be expecting game day experience-wise that's going to change from last year?
We're not going to make too many changes. I think we have a really, really great experience. So if anything changes, it would be more on the back office side. We implemented, a new ticketing system last year. So we want to try and move forward and try and use, more of the bells and whistles associated with that, which will hopefully, again, make us a little bit more efficient. We're still going to have the pavilion, the Smallwood and Smallwood Pavilion. We're actually going to expand it a little bit. So we won't have Cater's Corner per se like we did last year. We're actually going to add 4 additional pavilion spots, if you will. So there'll be even more people up there, ready to cheer on Shepherd Rams football.
Well, Chauncey, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us this evening, and a lot of hope looking forward for the Shepherd Rams, not only this year and the last year of the Mountain East, but looking forward to years down the road to come.
I really appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, we look forward to the fall season, and we're getting ready as we speak.
Chauncey Winbush, the vice president of athletics at Shepherd University, again came out couple weeks ago that Shepherd will be moving to the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference coming up in the 2019-2020 season. So big news coming around Shepherdstown, and not a lot of necessarily massive moves other than that, but a lot of things to enhance the Shepherd University academic and athletic experience. All right, we got to get in our bottom of the hour news and weather break, but when we come back, we're going to talk some NBA basketball with our resident NBA guy, Caleb Falero. You're listening to Miller Time on Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg.
CBS News Update. Just hours ahead of the historic Singapore summit, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is making it clear that there will be no concessions to North Korea until it follows through on a key demand of the U.S.
Sanctions will remain until North Korea completely and verifiably eliminates its weapons of mass destruction programs. If diplomacy does not move in the right direction, and we are hopeful that it will continue to do so, those measures will increase.
President Trump has said attitude is much more important than preparation for his face-to-face meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. But CBS's Stephen Portnoy says Mr. Trump has been spending the past few hours getting ready for the big moment.
The president has said he'll know in the first minute whether Kim Jong-un has the right attitude, the willingness to reach a deal. He'll have the chance to size Kim up as he meets with the dictator one-on-one. At first, only their interpreters will be with them in the room.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
Cloud cover, the main weather feature here for us through the night on into tomorrow. Limited scattered showers and temperatures dropping back to about 55 for the early morning low. Daytime high tomorrow, 73. The next chance of showers coming up later in the day and almost toward evening time. And then scattered showers tomorrow night, maybe a thunder shower on Wednesday with a high reading getting up to 83. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
We're talking with Joe Ferretti of Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone. Joe, how do you hire a personal injury attorney?
Rob, we believe you should look for an attorney who has a good reputation and the results to match. Ask around. We have a history of success representing folks who live here. You'll be convinced that my law firm is the one to handle your personal injury claim. Call Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone at 264-8505 for a free review of your case. Or contact us online at hfslawyers.com. At Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone, reputation and results matter.
We have the tools, we have the talent. It's Miller time.
Injuries are part of the game. You can never foresee injuries. Yeah, but they just happen.
You don't want a Cy Young caliber pitcher being injured running the bases.
You don't want a Gold Glove first baseman or Gold Glove third baseman injured either. It's part of the game. You hit, you play your position.
You're a
if
pitcher.
Your position happens to be a pitcher, so be it.
Get a local look at sports with Matt Miller and Matt Crawford on Miller Time, weekdays at 5 p.m. on Talk Radio WRNR, the leader in local talk news sports.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
NFL first, Julio Jones and Khalil Mack have both told their teams they will not be at the mandatory minicamps, means that they are holdouts. Some good news in Dallas as Zach Martin is agreeing to a 6-year deal that should make him the highest paid guard in the NFL. With the Cowboys, Adrian Gonzalez with the Mets, no more. First baseman had just 6 home runs and 26 RBIs, was batting just .237 on the season. Boston has Mookie Betts back in the lineup and leading off for the first time since May 27th. Red Sox at the Orioles a little bit after 7 o'clock Eastern. And at 10:10, it's the Angels at the Mariners. LA has won 7 of their last 10 games. Seattle has won 8 of their last 10 games. And some NBA news, Dwayne Casey agrees to a 5-year deal reportedly for about $7 million per year to become the next head coach of the Detroit Pistons. I'm Keith Irizarry. It's NBC Sports Radio and the NBC Sports Radio mobile app.
The Wellness Center at Berkeley Medical Center introduces a healthy way of life. It's not just another diet, but a weight management program developed by the Wellness Center that includes metabolic testing, a simple 10-minute breathing test that determines how many calories your body actually needs, followed by working one-on-one with a health coach to develop a personalized mix of exercise and nutrition to tip the scales in your favor towards successful weight loss. A lifetime of good health awaits at the Wellness Center. For more info, call 304-264-1232.
Hello, this is Delegate Mike Folk, candidate for West Virginia Senate District 16. I want to extend my personal congratulations to all the Little League All-Stars this summer. As a former three-sport athlete and Shepherd football player, I understand the importance of discipline, hard work, and perseverance, something our All-Stars have in common. As you continue your journey through this summer and your life, remember this quote from Hall of Famer Jerry Rice, who said, "Today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't." Best of luck and have a great tournament.
And we welcome you back into this Monday edition of Miller Time. Special thanks to the Vice President of Athletics at Shepherd University, Chauncey Winbush, for taking half hour out of his busy schedule tonight to talk to us about the big Shepherd news that has been breaking really for the last 3 months, but officially over the last week. All right, let's talk some NBA baseball, NBA basketball. Much to my dismay, we're going to bring in Caleb Falero so he can gloat a little bit about how he called the 4-game sweep of the champion Golden State Warriors over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Caleb, okay, it's time for you to gloat.
Yeah, I'm not so much going to gloat. I mean, I called it, but at the same time, I'm a little upset with the outcome because, I'm not a big fan of the Warriors, so not too happy about the result.
Why are you not a big fan of the Warriors because you're a Houston Rockets fan?
Well, that's part of it, and it could be
part of the dream
Kevin
team?
Durant.
See what is your issue with Kevin Durant? I mean, I have issues with him because I think he as a person is not a very nice person, but I'm sure that's not the reason you have. I think you're part of the rest, or the 98% of people who think he hopped aboard the bandwagon and is now a 2-time champion. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, when you're 3-1 in the finals against the Warriors, and then you lose to them, you choke and you lose that 3-1 lead, then you join their team the next year. I just can't get behind that.
He just wants to win a championship. I don't know. I don't. Well, to me, that really doesn't bother me. As when you're currently in getting your second degree at Shepherd University after getting a degree at WVU. When you get into what you want to do for the rest of your life, not that I don't think being in the newsroom a couple hours a day is that, but you get into what you want to do for the rest of your life. And are you going to stay somewhere that you don't think you can succeed, or are you going to try to get a job with the best possible company you can get a job with?
Okay, there's a difference.
No, there isn't.
Entertainment.
That's still a job.
Entertainment value. The NBA has been made a joke. It's the Warriors and the Cavs, and it's really just the Warriors as we see a 4-game sweep.
That's not where I'm going. That's not the point. My point is, to them, to us, it's entertainment. Okay. But to the guy, as much as I think it's not good entertainment, it's still entertainment, and there is a vast majority of the population of this country and around the world that like the NBA.
I can agree.
But to the people who are playing on those teams, to the coaches, to the staff, to the players, that is still a job to them. So why wouldn't Kevin Durant, again, not a huge Kevin Durant fan for other reasons,
I guess,
but why wouldn't
the same reason Michael Jordan didn't team up with Magic Johnson, or those bigger teams? Magic Johnson didn't team up with Larry Bird. I guess
they didn't need to do that, though.
KD didn't need to. He was up 3-1 and then they lost.
Yeah, but I think those old school guys knew that that their games wouldn't mesh very well. And you've seen even in the current NBA, there have been multiple All-Stars on a team, and it just doesn't work. Look at the Wizards. That's a minor league, or that's minor league sports town, according to Michael Wilbon. But that's a minor example of having multiple All-Stars on a team that may not work together to get to the championship. But you look at James Harden, where he started. He was with Durant and Westbrook, and it didn't work. You look at Westbrook. Westbrook didn't work with Durant, and Durant left. It's Kyrie and LeBron didn't work, and now LeBron's complaining that he doesn't have enough tools. So to me, back then it was a completely different situation because they knew that their styles wouldn't get along.
I think what's changed is the loyalty. The loyalty to your team has changed. Talking about but LeBron's out the door.
Yeah, LeBron's out the door. We'll talk about the odds of him going different places here in a little bit. But first, let's go to some clips from the champions first. We'll start on Steph Curry. I'm bringing this clip up because before the series started, there was a question asked by a reporter on whether Steph was more, I don't know if it was more interested, but whether a MVP would mean more than an actual championship. And this was Steph's response to after the series, now that he's gotten that accomplishment.
Sending it back in along the left hand.
That is not Steph Curry. That is John Walton with the Lars Eller goal, as we're having some sort of malfunction with our DigiLink Extreme system. But regardless, Steph Curry basically said, I'll try to get that for you at some point here in a minute, but Steph Curry basically said, I'm happier with the championship. And to me, you need more of that. The NBA has become too much about me, which is one of the reasons I'm not a huge NBA fan, is because it's really been more about me rather than the team. I mean, you look at even the big threes back. You look at the big three you talked about last week when we were talking about this. What you thought was the original big three with Durant, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. They got along. I'm sorry, Kevin Garnett, not Kevin Durant. But they got along very well, which is why they won. But I don't think it was ever about the me factor with them. It was the we factor with them.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I think while there's a lot of things that I think are potentially wrong with the NBA, I think that's kind of become one of the big issues. All right, let's now hear from Steph Curry on his individual achievements after the finals.
Individual accolades they're awesome, and they're when you get to experience what that feels like, and it's kind of a validation of all the hard work that you put into it. Yeah, there's a sense of pride around those things, but I can go in the locker room right now and look every one of my teammates in the face and have that sense of pride of what I was able to do out there on the floor and how I can help my team win a championship. That's all that matters to me.
See, and that's what should matter, Caleb. And you look at how often do you hear about turmoil with Golden State? I think that's a group of players that gets along well on the court, and they all know their position, and they know that if they don't have a good night, it's not the end of the world because they're going to have teammates that pick them up.
Yeah, I think the difference, though, is some of these players, these star players on these not-so-good teams, they know that they don't have a chance against these bigger juggernaut teams, super teams, so what they're going after instead of that championship is those individual accolades.
But to me, that's not what sports is about. You won multiple state championships in Martinsburg, correct?
Okay.
Were you concerned about being an all-state player, or were you concerned about winning a state championship?
Well, that's a different level.
No, it's sports or sports.
I was worried about the championship.
But. Exactly. Because what? Because you were in a system that, under Coach Walker, you were in a system that told you that it was about the championship, not about individual achievements, correct?
Yeah.
And I think Golden State under Steve Kerr knows what it takes to win and win with a dynasty. He was part of one of the greatest dynasties of all time with the Chicago Bulls with Jordan and Pippen and Rodman, who, congratulations, Dennis Rodman is now saving the United States over in Singapore. And Lord help us, because he's our representative other than Donald Trump. But I digress. But I just think it's all about the NBA has gotten away from, except what I think Golden State has gotten away from the me instead of we mentality. Again, just food for thought. Let's hear from Kevin Durant on being a back-to-back NBA champion.
But it feels good. When you experience something for the first time and you do it again, those emotions aren't going to be there as they were the first time, but just knowing that the work that you put in paid off, and the care that you have for something, it means something. I feel like I did something, that pull back into this earth. I pull good energy back into the earth when I go and work hard every single day on my game, and I care about the game, and I watch basketball, and I care for my teammates, and we care for each other. I think we're doing something good in the world.
KD cares about his teammates. Again, not a huge KD fan, but cares about his teammates. Let's go to LeBron now. Let's see what LeBron had to say after the game. And to LeBron, this season and this postseason was kind of memorable.
It's never a success in the postseason when you lose, not for me. Like I said, being reliable to my teammates, being able to play the game at a higher level with as many games and as many miles that I have on my body, and put together a run like I had in the postseason. It's something that I can, kind of remember.
Kind of remember. I just how many times he referenced himself there. my achievements, what I did with my great run in the post. It wasn't about his team.
What team?
That's the thing. I get LeBron's a phenomenal basketball player, but you still need a little bit of help to get to the conference final, win it against a Boston team who I get had their fair share of injuries. But again, to me, LeBron is about the me, and Golden State was about the we, and that's
like I said, he knew this season was not his season to win the NBA championship.
All right, well, let's talk about some odds here, because if LeBron is in Cleveland next year, I think it'll be a miracle to Cleveland fans. I think it would be unheard of for LeBron to be in Cleveland next year.
There's a chance.
Well, there's a chance that I could get hit by a bus walking out the front door, but odds are very slim. The Lakers are the leading contender right now. They have 2-1 odds to get King James next season, right in front of the Houston Rockets, who are 11-5 odds, which I had to explain to Caleb earlier what that meant. Cleveland is in third, tied with the 76ers at 7-2 odds. So, all right, Caleb, I'll leave this for you here. And then that's followed by Boston 10-1, San Antonio 12-1. That's a team I hadn't heard of yet.
I heard it.
He's not going to Golden State. They're 20-1 odds. He doesn't fit in Golden State anywhere. He's not going to Golden State. No, he needs to be a star somewhere. He's not going to Golden State. And then the Clippers at 20-1. Where do you see him fitting in next year?
I'd like to say the Rockets, but the Rockets are kind of locked down with their money situation. In free agency this year, they also have to retain Clint Capella, their starting center, and Trevor Ariza is a $13 million man. They need to find money for him, and for them to be able to get LeBron, I don't know how you could get to keep both Capella or Ariza on the team. I see him. The Lakers makes a lot of sense. They have a lot of 1-year contracts. They have enough money right now to go get a Paul George or possibly
that would be a dynamic combo with LeBron and Paul George on the same team.
Possibly trade for a Kawhi Leonard.
If whatever ball is on the Lakers happen. I mean, he had a pretty decent year last. And stop me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm an NBA fan casually from a distance. The Lakers have a lot of young talent that hasn't blossomed yet. Am I correct?
Right. You've got Brandon Ingram. You got Ball, which he had a so-so year, but he didn't live up to the hype. But he had
it was impossible
rookie season.
If he didn't have the hype, everybody would have thought he was a pretty good basketball. It was a good year.
It's his daddy's fault.
It was impossible to live up to the hype that he had coming in. So I could see him being a Laker. I think with the talent that's gone through the Lakers organization, I could see him being a Laker just to say that he was part of the great tradition of being a Los Angeles Laker.
You got Magic Johnson in there, one of his favorite players of all time, as the president of basketball operations.
Yeah, I could see him being a Laker. That's my favorite too. So Caleb and I are in agreement that we probably both see him with the Lakers, although Caleb would rather see him with Houston. All right, we got to get in our final break. When we come back, we'll talk some Major League Baseball and what went on over the weekend and what's coming up this week. A busy week for the Washington Nationals. We'll talk about them and some other regional action with the O's, Pirates, Phillies, and the Braves coming up next on Miller Time.
It's that time of year again. I'm Ron Springer, head golf professional at the Woods, and I'm excited to announce the second annual Tournament of Champions on October 5th. Want to dethrone the 2017 champs? Now's the time to enter your team into one of the many qualifying tournaments here at the Woods. Not only can you win more money for your sponsoring organization, you can also win great prizes for you and your teammates. For a list of qualifying tournaments, see ads in the Journal, Around the Panhandle, and at thewoods.com. It's on.
The Mountaineers live on Talk Radio WRNR.
It's intercepted. Here's Kenny Robinson down the right sideline. It's going to be a foot race. He's at midfield. He's to the 40, being pursued. He gets away to the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown. Kenny Robinson, 94-yard pick six.
Follow the Mountaineers all fall long on their quest for a Big 12 championship on your home for Mountaineer football. Talk Radio WRNR, the Panhandle Sports Radio station.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
Whether you just found it or you've lived there for years, you'll never forget that feeling. It was something that made you realize this house would become your home. And since there's no place like it, it deserves protection just as special. A local Allstate agent can help you customize an Allstate house and home insurance policy and point out lots of ways to save, like claim-free rewards, extra savings every year you don't file a claim. Call Martinsburg Allstate agent Gary Kelly at 263-4596 today. Coverage and discount subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Rewards feature optional. Savings vary. Allstate Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company.
WVU Medicine welcomes Dr. Sarika Bagri to the staff at WVU Medicine Primary Care Inwood. Dr. Bagri is board certified in internal medicine and is now accepting new patients at Primary Care Inwood, conveniently located at 5047 Gerrardstown Road, Suite 2B in the Inwood Medical Building. For more information or to schedule an appointment with Dr. Bagri, call WVU Medicine Primary Care Inwood at 304-229-6343. 304-229-6343.
We're talking Major League Baseball next on Miller Time.
Simply free e-checking from City National Bank. Perfect if you want basic checking with no monthly service fees or balance requirements. Stop by any of our 7 Eastern Panhandle locations or visit us online at bankatcity.com. City National Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And welcome back into this Monday edition of Miller Time. About 8 minutes left to go in this Monday show. Matt Crawford here with you. Matt Miller out all this week on his vacation. We wish him some happy time off with his family doing household chores. So not your typical vacation, but I will be taking you through all week on your 5 to 6 drive home hours, talking sports all week. All right, we've talked NBA, we've talked Shepherd. Let's talk some Major League Baseball. We're going to start with the Washington Nationals. Lost 2 of 3 over the weekend to the Giants. Not a great showing by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. But again, the Nationals have started playing consistent baseball, and I think that's all that anybody really wants right now. Friday, a 9-2-5 loss to the Giants. Got a win on Saturday. 7-5 was the final in that game. That was when the Caps were in the building getting their Stanley Cup celebration in front of DC fans for the first time. That was exciting to watch. And then yesterday, a 2-0 loss, but Max Scherzer had a whale of a game, made one mistake, and that was a 2-run home run to Brandon Crawford. But Scherzer still continuing his miraculous season. Finished the day with 9 strikeouts. Here is Davey Martinez on Scherzer and yesterday's loss as a whole.
Hauling through pretty good. Makes his pitches up well. Just couldn't get really nothing going. And Max pitched really well. He made one mistake. But got to score runs to win.
That's a bold statement there, Davey. You do have to score runs to win. I don't know how many teams have ever won not scoring any runs. The Nationals tied with the Atlanta Braves right now in the National League East, and some not playing anytime in the near future, but the Nationals are opening up a series tomorrow night in the Bronx, a 2-game series taking on the New York Yankees, the Bronx Bombers. Again, you can hear that right here on Talk Radio WRNR, a 6:30 pregame, a 7 o'clock first pitch. Going to those same Braves, they had a up and down weekend too, also losing 2 of 3. They were out on the West Coast playing the Dodgers. Lost Friday 7-3, won the only game of that series Saturday, 5-3 win. So both teams, the Nationals and the Braves, getting their only wins by 2 runs over the weekend. Then a loss yesterday, 7-2. Again, that was against the Dodgers out on the West Coast. They are also on a bye tonight. The Orioles continue to struggle and continue to struggle hard. Lost their last 4 2 of 8 over their last 10, 19 and 45. 4-game series over the Rays. We will give you some numbers right after we hear from Buck Showalter following their 13-3 loss yesterday, and he sums it up quickly but accurately.
You give up 19 hits and only score 3 runs, that's not a good recipe.
Not a good recipe at all. Again, he talked about the 19 hits yesterday. Our intern, Anthony Bracken, was nice enough to share with me some stats that he found earlier. He added some stats up from this series against the Jays. Blue Jays got 56 hits in the 4 games against the Orioles. The Orioles had 27. So obviously when you're giving up that many hits and not getting that many hits, that's going to be an issue. The run differential, 27-11. Again, not a phenomenal. When the opposing team is scoring at least 2 times as many runs as you are throughout the game, not a good recipe for success. Right now, the Orioles are struggling at a historic rate. Let's bring in some numbers here. The Orioles right now are 24 and a half games back. That is awful at this point, at mid-June. The beginning of the middle part of June, the 11th of June today, absolutely awful. They have a .297 winning percentage. If that were to stay true throughout the entire season and they were to play at this level the entire season, number one, I don't think Buck Showalter is the manager at the end of the year. I think that's a pretty fair assessment unless the Orioles are just that loyal to Buck that they're going to let him finish out the entire season. But I think if you stay at a sub-300 winning percentage, you've got to move something around. And I think after a couple of lackluster seasons in Baltimore, I think over the last couple of seasons, again, Buck changed the philosophy in Baltimore when it came to baseball. Again, a couple of playoff appearances, a good run in Baltimore, but I think that his time is just coming to an end with the O's. But back to the .297 winning percentage. You go back to 1911 and 1939. Looking at a list I found on Wikipedia, that is the 20 worst winning percentages throughout a season in the modern era in baseball. It's 1900 to now. The St. Louis Browns, they're not around anymore, but they were the number 16 team on the list. They had a .296 winning percentage, and the number 17 team on the list now was the Phillies, and they had a .298. So right now, if the Orioles were to stay at the rate they're at right now, they would be a historically bad Orioles team, and it would put them down in the history books for something I'm sure that they don't want to be in the history books for. I mean, looking at the years in the 20 worst teams record-wise and winning percentage-wise in the modern era, only one was really that recent, and that was back in 2003 with the Detroit Tigers. They finished the year 43-119. That's a .265 winning percentage. But other than that, you're looking at teams all the way back to right at the turn of the century, looking at 1904 with the Senators. I mean, you're looking at teams that are a lot of which are in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. One team in the 2000s, and really none past 1945 is the second closest. So that the Orioles are playing historically bad baseball right now. So you just hope that the O's can somehow turn a corner. And I think this season you can pretty much sum up is done for them because, again, 24 and a half back in early to mid-June. You're not coming back from that. But I just hope to salvage something from this season and look forward to next year. They will start a series with the Red Sox tonight. Sticking with regional action, the Pirates lost 2 of 3 to my Cubbies over the weekend. They lost 3-1 on Friday, lost 2-0 on Saturday, and got a win yesterday, 7-1. Again, that was in Chicago against my Cubbies. They will start a series with the Diamondbacks tonight. And going to the Philadelphia Phillies, they had a series against the Atlanta Braves. They had a series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Can't read my own writing sometimes. They lost 12-4 on Friday. They lost 12-3 on Saturday and got the only win of that series, 4-3. That was yesterday. All right, that is wrapping up our time for Miller Time this evening. We appreciate you tuning in after you got through your Monday. Think about that. Take a sigh of relief. You got through your Monday. We will be back tomorrow night, the same time. Matt Crawford will again will be here with you. Matt Miller out on vacation for the rest of the week. Again, we appreciate you tuning into Miller Time. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. for some more regional, local, and national sports news. See you guys tomorrow.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. He was charged with shooting his neighbor to death last fall, was recently released on bond, and late last week pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder. The Journal reporting 29-year-old Joshua Newell of Bunker Hill has been confined to his home, can't drink or